Hi everybody at home. We are going to begin today with a quick review from last week. So, welcome. Okay, let's take a look. All right, let's start with classical conditioning. The first person we should have put up on that board. Okay, let me correct this. Yes, would be Pavlov. Come on over here. Okay, so Pavlov, and Pavlov had the whole idea that the stimulus is presented first, then the behavior. So conditioned stimulus, conditioned, unconditioned stimulus, associate the two, and then we have a response. John Garcia, so the response is automatic. Okay, so the response is an automatic response. John Garcia, correct. He's the one that came up with the cognition piece. You're correct about the whole, there's a thinking component to classical conditioning. And he tested that through taste aversion. So taste aversion, you get sick after eating something particular. Okay? B.F. Skinner needs to come on over here to this side. So let's start with Thorndike is correct. Law of effect. What is the definition of law of effect? Super simple. Don't overthink it.
It's like good reinforcement, like encourages.
Rewarded behaviors are
Going to be redone.
more likely to occur. More likely to occur again and again. Yes. So that's the basis. Rewarded behaviors are more likely to reoccur. Then B.F. Skinner comes in and talks about positive and negative reinforcements and punishments. And he said the behavior is first, then the reward and punishment. We also did something in class, which was a technique of reinforcement, and this was called shaping. On the video, if you watched, I believe Sam Sherman was posted, and it was a thing that we asked him to do. Does anybody remember the definition of shaping?
It's like encouraging someone as they slowly get to the desired action.
That's right. So it's slow, successive approximations. You don't wait till the very end. You encourage them all along the way. This is good. You need to know this to be able to establish this. This is a quick snapshot. This was the entire week of what we went over. If you want to write that down, feel free. If you're not, you can take a picture or just kind of key it into your brain. But you should be able to do this. This is a study technique where you should be able to say, this person goes over here. He's associated with these things, right? So that when you get distractors, and you can be like, it's asking about classical conditioning. No way can these guys even be considered the answer, because I know that they fall into operant conditioning. Then from there, we went into positive and negative reinforcement. I told everybody on the video that this slide was the most important slide of the bunch. I actually talked to them about the colors and how important the colors were. If we are talking giving something, or you're adding something, some type of stimulus that's added, then we know it's red and it's positive. Positive doesn't mean good. Don't confuse the two terms. Often we associate positive as being good. Instead, we're looking at more of a mathematical thing where you're adding something. Negative, we're taking something away. Okay, that's our blue. If it happens more often, if the behavior happens more often, it's being reinforced. If it happens less often, it's being a punishment. So this was a chart I told everybody, make sure you write down, make sure you memorize it. It'll be helpful in the future. So let's go over your homework, which was on that yellow sheet. Even if you didn't have an opportunity to get it done, we're going to do it right now in class. So those of you at home, make sure you follow along, and hopefully you can check your own answers. So there's very few of us in class today, so you're going to get called on all the time. Yeah, Court?
I don't really remember Thorndike being associated a lot with that. I don't even remember that.
So he was in the PowerPoint, and he was mentioned just a snippet in your book. He did what was called this puzzle box, and he put cats in it. And he wanted to see how quickly a cat could actually get to the lever and open the lever up. And kind of accidentally, he came across when he rewarded them, their time got a lot faster. So from there, he realized rewarded behavior is more likely to reoccur. thus the law of effect. Any other questions? Okay, so I think on the video I stopped after number 2. So we'll go on to number 3. A child is sent to his room with no supper after presenting a bad report card. Brian, increase or decrease the, what'd you say?
Decrease.
Decreasing, adding or taking away.
Taken away.
And what are we taking away?
The supper.
The supper, that's correct. And so what principle, if you're decreasing and taking it away, is it?
Negative.
Negative punishment. And because it's a punishment, it's not a primary or secondary. But let's just quickly review primary and secondary before we go on. Primary types of reinforcers are what type of reinforcers? Typically, yeah, but they're an innate. It's something you don't have to learn. So like food, water, human touch, shelter, you know, things that we know just innately. Now, primary or conditioned, it means the same thing. I'm sorry, secondary or conditioned means the same thing. That's a reinforcer you learn to associate with your primary reinforcer. So I gave the example in class the other day on Friday. I said, you know, guys, when you are not born with the ability to know money is something that is good, but you learn quickly to associate it with a primary reinforcer. Okay? All right. So with that being said, let's go to number 4. We'll go on to you, my dear. A dad and his son enter the checkout lane of the supermarket when the child screams for candy. Remember, look at the focused behavior. That's the underline. Dad pops a sucker in his mouth to quiet him down. Increase or decrease?
Decrease?
You're going to decrease the frequency of him screaming for candy in the future?
So it's increased.
Why would, yes.
It's like
Well-
reinforcing the idea that if he, like if the kid keeps crying and screaming that, it'll like keep happening that he'll get candy.
Right. Yeah. So then what are we adding or taking away, and are we adding or taking away?
You're adding
Uh.
candy.
You're adding the candy, which makes your principle what?
Positive maybe?
Positive reinforcement. And would you say that's a primary or a secondary?
Secondary?
You know, it's debatable, because some people would say, well, candy's not really a primary food source, right? Like Skittles that you guys are eating right now, but it's technically food. So either one would work on that one. Court, putting up an umbrella to escape the rain. Increase or decreasing the frequency of putting up the umbrella in the future?
Increase,
Right? Adding or taking away?
away,
Taking away, you're right. What are we taking?
so getting soaked.
Yes. And do you guys recall, if you remember, in class I said, you always want to ask yourself, are we escaping or avoiding something? Is this person escaping or avoiding something? Yes, what Courtney said. They're escaping the rain. They're avoiding getting wet. Makes sense? So always ask yourself that question. Are they escaping or avoiding something? Okay, keep us going then. What is the principle there, Courtney?
Would it be negative?
Negative reinforcement is the principle, is it a primary or a secondary?
I said primary because innately you don't want to get old and die.
But we are referencing the umbrella. So then it's secondary because you learn to associate that the umbrella is going to be something that will keep you from getting wet. All right, back to you, Brian. Child spills milk all over the supper table. Mom, having had a bad day, swoops the child up from the high chair and spanks him. We are looking at spilling of the milk. Increasing or decrease?
Where's that at?
It's on the back.
This page?
No, the back of that page that you were just on.
This?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
It got printed backwards. I apologize. So, a child spilling milk. Are we increasing or decreasing, Brian?
No, neither read it.
Okay.
I'm decreasing.
Mm-hmm. Decreasing. And are we adding or taking away the stimulus?
Add.
Yes, and what are you adding?
Spanking.
The spanking, the principle is
Positive punishment.
positive punishment. Can you guys give me an example? And I asked the kids in class on Zoom of this. Does anybody have an example of positive punishment? From home, families. Something is added to decrease your behavior.
Getting yelled at.
Yeah, getting that screaming session.
Not screaming, but being told what you're doing.
Kind of like the lecture.
Yeah.
How about negative punishment? Can you guys give me an example of that?
Taking away a phone.
Yeah, we talked about that. Can you think of a common one parents have done for younger children? I just want to go over this because you're going to see this on the test.
Taking away toys.
No. I mean, yes, that is correct, but that's not what I was thinking. I'm sure that your parents probably did this to you, maybe. What do they typically do? Instead of taking the toys away, sometimes they put the kid in a timeout. Why is that negative punishment and not positive punishment?
Taking away time from their playtime.
Yeah, and sometimes people think it's more of a positive, like I'm adding the timeout, but you can't look at it like that. You're looking at it more in the direction of you're removing the kid from whatever their desire was to do. Okay, and this one's yours. Student has a terrible headache after an intense preparation period for the test. He takes 2 aspirin to make it go away. Increase or decrease?
Decrease?
Taking 2 aspirin is the focus.
Oh, increase.
Yes, always look at the underlined behavior. You're going to increase the chance of that, and are you adding or taking away a stimulus that will increase that behavior?
Adding.
You are, and what are you adding?
The 2 aspirin pills.
You are, but, so I'm backing up. We're not adding on this one. So we are increasing the behavior of her taking that aspirin again. Is she escaping? Is she avoiding?
Yes.
Yes. So now it has to be
Away.
taking something away. Yeah, she's escaping that headache. So that leads us to what, Anne?
Is that negative?
It's negative reinforcement, and it's probably a secondary reinforcer because you learn that an aspirin is going to do that for you. We're going to do 7, all 4 of us together, because this one's kind of tricky. 2 children who usually spend most of their time fighting are finally playing peacefully over a coloring book. Dad peeks in and sighs, at last they're getting along, and he returns to work without saying anything to them. How many of you think you're increasing the behavior of the kids playing peacefully in the future? 1. Why do you guys say no? It's going to decrease. It's decrease the behavior. And it's kind of a tricky one, Anne, so I can see why people might not have gotten this one right.
Well, they weren't told it was right or wrong.
They were basically ignored. They don't know even that Dad recognized it. If a behavior is ignored, it will probably lead to extinction. The behavior will just cease. So remember that when you become a parent someday. If Anne's my little 5-year-old and she's doing something super awful and annoys the crap out of me, the more attention I give her, the more reinforcement I'm giving her to encourage that behavior. What if I ignore that behavior? Eventually, Anne knows she's not going to get any attention for it, and she'll stop that behavior. Do you see how some parents kind of screw that up a little bit because they drive them crazy and they don't know how to attend to them. So now we are on you, Court. Hurrying home in the winter to get out of a cold. We are on number, is this 9? I don't have mine numbered. Is this number 9? Increase or decrease, Courtney?
Increase.
Yes. Adding or taking away. Are we avoiding or escaping something?
Away.
You are taking, and we are avoiding that cold. Principle then.
Negative punishment.
Punishment? Are we increasing the behavior?
Negative reinforcement.
Don't forget to look at that chart, and that's probably a primary because you know just to get out of the cold.
And what was number 8? Was that primary or secondary?
There isn't one.
Okay.
All right, Brian. A spoiled child is being driven by a fast food restaurant. She begins screaming that she must have French fries or she won't survive. The parents surrender. We're looking at the behavior of the parents, okay? The parents surrender and drive in for a large supply, increasing or decreasing the chance that they will surrender again in the future.
Just those from the surrender. Is it increasing?
It is increasing. Good. Are we adding or taking something away to increase that behavior?
Taking away
What are we taking away? Good.
the money, like to buy fries home.
That probably wouldn't increase my behavior.
To take away like the child screaming.
Yes, the stimulus that they are avoiding or escaping is the scream. They can't stand it, so they're taking that away. So that leads us to what principle?
Negative reinforcement.
You said decrease and you said adding.
Then negative. Oh, then positive punishment.
Positive punishment. Don't forget the chart. All right, guys, take a pause before we go to the last one.
Wait, it was increase and take away?
No, it was decrease and adding.
Oh, I had that written down.
Oh, wait. Oh, wait. I'm on the wrong one. Sorry, everybody at home. We were on the fast food restaurant, right? That was increase and taking. You said it correctly at first. And then it's a negative, right? Negative reinforcement. I want to ask you guys a question. What's the difference between that one and number 4? Number 4, the answer was positive reinforcement, and this one, it was negative reinforcement. It's kind of the same scenario. The parent gives in, gives the child. Why is one positive reinforcement and one is negative reinforcement?
Because that one's talking about the actual kid, like the behavior.
One is talking about the behavior of the child, and good, excellent. So you got to look at the focus behavior. And on your test, I will always have this focal behavior underlined. You can always ask me too, when you're taking it, like, are we looking at this behavior here? Or are we looking at this behavior here? Okay? Now we are finally on to the second last one. Back to you, Anne. A teenager's whining about having to do nothing. So our behavior is whining kid. Dad gives him the lecture about all the stuff in his room and now how the good old days when he, the father, didn't have all that stuff, but he still managed to be happy. Increase or decreasing the frequency of the child whining in the future?
Decrease.
Good. Are we adding or taking something away for that child to decrease that behavior?
Adding.
What are you adding?
The lecture.
Yes! So what is our principle?
Positive punishment.
Chicka-chicka! You got it, girlfriend! Court, we're on our last one. Moving along. A terrorist applies an electric current to the feet of a spy to make her confess. She tells him everything she knows. Increase, decrease the frequency of confession in the future? Yes, you are increasing. Are we adding or taking away a stimulus?
Adding.
Are we escaping or avoiding something? Yes, we are escaping. We are avoiding.
It's avoiding her not confessing?
No, the confession is the behavior. So is she escaping or is she avoiding something?
Oh yeah, she's avoiding, so taking away.
Yes, she's avoiding the shock, right? The electric shock. So our answer for that one would be negative punishment. And what's the principle? Is that primary or secondary, do you guys think? Primary, because we know as children, we don't need to be taught that we are avoiding pain, okay? How do we feel as we wrap up this? This is this important that I actually go over your homework because I want you guys to be confident that when you get these scenarios that you can feel like, okay, you ask yourself those 2 questions. Is this going to increase the behavior or is it going to decrease the behavior? Now you've narrowed it down, right? Are we adding something or are we taking something away? So Friday is your test for you guys. Thursday is your test if you're at home. It's going to be a fast and furious week here again, as always. All right, so then let's switch gears and let's go through Learning Target D. And Learning Target D, we're going to talk about schedules of reinforcement. So I have just 3 more slides I want to show you on the PowerPoint. As I go through them, take these babies down. Okay. Okay, so these are the last 3 slides on that slideshow that I've been going off of for the past few days. Maybe. And if you are at home, you guys can bring this up on Canvas. Holy smokes. We got a slow computer.
I love Skittles because it always makes my tummy hurt.
Okay, so there are, just like I said, 3 slides I want to share with you guys. And the first 2 is talking about 4 types of schedules of reinforcement. Pretty simple when you look at the terminology. Immediate, most of us know what immediate means. It means you're going to get reinforced right away. Right away. So I'm trying to think in school when this would be a good example, and I couldn't come up with one where you literally instantaneously get reinforced. I guess it would be like if you say an answer and then I immediately say, good job. I mean, that would be an immediate reinforcement.
Or maybe if you are taking like a Canvas quiz.
Oh, yeah, and you get like immediate feedback. Yeah. Uh-huh. Sure, sure. So the example I put up here is not school related, but for anybody that knows anybody that smokes, you know, they take a whiff of that and they inhale that cigarette. They aren't waiting 10 minutes before that nicotine to kick in. It's going through their system and immediately it's giving them a relief. A delayed reinforcer is just, obviously, it's going to be a little bit of time in between you getting the reinforcer and the learning. So let me use this as an example, immediate and delayed. So pretend I'm your boss and I say to you, hey, you guys have 20 minutes to finish this little project. When it's done, before you leave for work today, I'm giving you a bonus for completing that. Versus, you need to get this project done, and after it's completed, 10 months after it's completed, I will give you a bonus. Which one are we going to have people working harder right away on? Yeah, because they want the money, right? You know, and I'm walking out of here with some extra cash today, Miss Horner, right? So immediate versus delayed. And then the next 2 are continuous versus partial. Now, if I have anything highlighted in yellow, I always tell you guys that those are good test, questions to make sure you understand the difference. So continuous, you get rewarded every time. So could you have an immediate continuously immediate reward? Yes. You get it right away and you get it every single time. Do you guys see what I'm saying? Could you have a reward that you don't get every single time, but you get it, maybe X amount of times? Definitely. This is going to be fastest to your learning of your desired response. What do I mean by that? If any of you have ever trained a dog, we are dog lovers in our house. Sorry about the cat lovers in here. But I've trained 3 dogs to be potty trained in the course of the last 5 years, I would say, of our lives in our family. And every single time when I first get that puppy, every single time I take that dog outside to go to the bathroom, I give it a treat. There isn't one time I miss when I first have the puppy. It takes about 2 solid weeks of doing that, like never missing a beat. Like I'm talking middle of the night, morning, afternoon. I always got my puppies for our family when I was home on Christmas break, because by the time I went back to work, I was exhausted, but I could have that puppy potty trained. Because every single time little Rover is squatting, here you go, good dog, good dog. Now, do I do that with my dog Rizzo anymore? He goes out and goes to the bathroom, and do I give him a treat every time? No, I don't. But was it fastest to this dog's learning that, yeah, this is a good behavior? So this is going to be quick. Continuous is going to be quick. Whereas partial intermittent is going to be best if you are looking for a very long, and you don't want them to stop the behavior. So that's what resistance to extinction means. If you don't want them to stop the behavior. So do I still now, every now and then, still give Rizzo, is my dog's name, a treat when he goes out? Yes, I do. But I don't do it every single time because he's learned the behavior. Questions on this stuff? Yeah.
I have a really old dog,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes she sleeps on the stairs. And she is potty trained. Do you think it's because she's old, or would it be like if we started giving her treats here and there every time she went outside to go potty and came back
Are you talking about the outside stairs or inside stairs?
inside? Like she still goes inside the house.
Had she stopped doing that when she was younger? Did she just start doing that again, or has she always gone in the house?
I don't know. We got her. She's 14, so I was 4 when we got her.
Because I would say if she never used to do this, and this is more of an older behavior, this is something going wrong with her medically. You know, because that's a good sign when dogs start kind of shutting down. They have a hard time going outside. I know. But now, that doesn't mean if there's nothing wrong with her, you can retrain her either. So, okay, last slide, promise. Okay, guys. So, if you look at this slide, previous slide, partial and intermittent reinforcement, there are 4 types of partial and intermittent reinforcers. Fixed ratio, variable ratio, fixed interval, variable interval. I would like to explain these in the conjunction of the 4x4. If this is your style, you could take notes from here, or if you prefer to do it from the PowerPoint, either one, or just listen to. This is all in your book. So ratio means number, okay? So that's what we're talking about. And what do I mean by number? How many responses the subject makes. How many times the subject makes those responses. How many times will they be rewarded? So a certain number of behaviors needed before the reinforcement will occur. So fixed ratio, the example I have on the board. If anybody has a punch card where if you actually get, I don't know, you purchase like so many times and then all of a sudden you get like a free something. For me, it's Jumbo Coffee. I have a little Jumbo Coffee coffee card in my wallet, and I know when I'm getting close to that 10th coffee, I'm more apt to go there because I'm being reinforced for my behavior and I'm going to get a free coffee. Make sense? Versus variable ratio is an indefinite amount of time. You don't know. So gambling is a classic example. College Board loves to use gambling, and if anybody knows gamblers or just seen it on TV, slot machines are big for people to be drawn into. You know, are slot machines responding on a number, a certain number? Yeah, and true gamblers, you guys, they will go in, they will watch somebody else on a machine. Let's say Brian's on a machine, just putting a ton of money in that machine. Are you following me? And he's on there for like 20 minutes and he doesn't win once. What a gambler will do is they'll swoop in after Brian leaves because they know the winning number is coming up at any point in time. Do you understand that? So it's indefinite and it keeps people coming back. Now interval, if you look, I've got a clock on the top of that. We're talking about time of day, so clock, time of week, day of week, calendars. So anything dealing with time. If it says sometimes, we're talking about interval. Okay, now are we talking fixed? If you look at the example, you have a quiz every single Friday. Back in the day when you guys used to come to school every day of the week. I don't know if any of your teachers ever do that, but I know that Miss Knowles, she used to have those challenge Thursdays. Is that what she called them? Thursday challenge? You guys knew every Thursday when you came in, it was fixed every Thursday, and it was based on the day of the week that there was going to be a challenge. Now, variable interval would be more like a pop quiz. So happy Monday, you guys. Happy Monday at home. You guys, let's test you and see what you know. And then I'm actually grading on it. Why is that, if you notice in yellow on the board, why is variable interval most resistant to extinction? Because you don't know when it's going to happen. So it keeps you on your toes. You think, oh, it could be today, it could be tomorrow, it could be, next week. I'm just not sure, so I'm going to read all the time. Interval, how much time has passed since the last reinforcement. So what I want the three of you to do together right now is on the next sheet, Brian, if you flip it over, I think it's 1 or 2 pages, it'll say schedules of reinforcement. Right there, Brian, on the left. Yep. So you three work together, answer those questions, and then I'll go over the answers with you. If you guys are at home, I'd like you to do that page as well. Right now, it says it's for homework, but we're going to do it here in class, so you guys don't have to do it for homework tonight. Go ahead, you guys chat with each other, and I'm going to chat with the people at home. And the page looks like this. This is what the page looks like. So you're going to go through these, and in a few minutes when they are all done, we'll go over the answers. So just hang tight with us and see what you guys can come up with at home. Thanks.
My sister's done that, but it keeps getting. Peter emails his girlfriend multiple times per night. Occasionally, she will do that. What?
Is that also a variable ratio?
Yeah, it's really.
What do you think, Miss Ann?
I think so too. It seems like the last one.
After brushing last week's coffee, Saturday at the coffee shop, the next one, the show, thanks for and drinking some more cider, is very little bacon.
Oh, yeah.
Why is that? Yeah. Turbo.
Every Sunday.
Fuzzy the dog always wants to go for a walk. He's only sometimes taking 2 times a day. Other times he will have to wait in. So very fasting every 20 minutes. He gets a break. Sometimes when students come from school, and they're after that they're going to have to variable.
Will be ratio.
So, wait, who's being graded first?
And chime in.
Sometimes when she comes home from school. So the intervals would be when she comes home from school, but not every time. Well, it's the ratio that I don't think it's true. I mean, that's me. I'm not concerned with that. That's how it's crazy. Read answers and
Mhm.
class occasionally teachers will congratulate him on participating. Yes. Every Friday, Martha goes to the after feeling cleans the bathroom 3 times, her mother puts her in alarms to calm down. But it's so scary. Where he frequently goes to the racetrack, he bets on every race and sometimes.
Variable ratio.
Good?
Maybe.
Okay, here we go. Let's go through your answers. Hopefully at home you had time to actually answer them as well. And starting with you, each day after completing 1 hour of the treadmill, Susan allows herself a break to relax and sit down.
Fixed interval.
Fixed interval, good. A dog begs for food as the family sits down to the dinner table. Sometimes he gets a scrap of something. Brian?
Variable ratio.
Variable ratio. Peter emails his girlfriend multiple times. Boy, Miss Horner's trying to do too many things here at once. Sorry about that, you guys. Ann, I didn't get you wet or anything, did I? Peter emails his girlfriend multiple times a night. Occasionally, she will email him back. Court?
Variable ratio.
Ratio? Multiple times a night. So now it's interval. Okay? It's variable because you guys said occasionally, which is good. But it's multiple times a night. Anytime it says time, it's going to be time. So after Gretchen buys 6 coffees at her local shop, she gets the next one free. I use that as an example in class. What are you thinking, Annie?
Fixed interval.
Fixed interval?
Oh, wait.
Ratio, yeah, because it's the number of coffees you get. If Henry's home on Sundays, his grandmother will bake him his favorite strawberry pie.
Fixed interval.
Fixed interval. Aki buys a ticket for the state lottery, thinking the next next time she might win. So say time. Variable ratio, that's correct. That's gambling. Fuzzy the dog always wants to go for a walk. His owner will sometimes take him 2 times a day. Other times he will have to wait days before he gets the walk. You're up, Amy.
Variable interval.
Variable interval. Sarah would like to go camping but has to wait for a nice day to go.
Variable interval.
Variable interval. If he has worked hard all year, each December Darren gets his annual bonus at work.
Fixed interval.
Fixed interval. Gavin plays soccer for the school team. He loves playing, but it's exhausting. Every 20 minutes he gets a break.
Fixed interval.
Fixed interval. Sometimes when Jane comes home from school, her parents will tell her that they are going out to dinner.
Variable interval.
Variable interval. Good job, you guys. Reed answers many questions in class. Occasionally, his teacher will congratulate him on participating.
Variable ratio.
Variable ratio. Every Friday, Martha goes to the movies with her friends.
Fixed interval.
Good. After Fiona cleans the bathroom 3 times, her mother gives her an allowance of $20.
Fixed ratio.
Fixed ratio. And last, Gordon frequently goes to the racetrack, and he bets on every race, and sometimes he wins.
Variable ratio.
Yes. Okay. So this is what you guys are going to see on the exam for this learning target. Yep. But
You said anytime it says time,
okay.
that it would be interval, but in 14 it says 3 times, but it's ratio.
Because there it is actually giving you the number.
Okay.
So, are you still stuck on number 3? Multiple times a night? The night is the thing, that's going to get it for number 3. That's why.
But what if it's talking like every?
So it'd still be night. Calendar days are interval.
Okay.
Yep, good questions. How we doing? I'm hoping you feel like you got something out of class today. We are done right before the bell is going to ring. However, I wanted to ask you guys, I have 2 videos on your Canvas account that they're just more of like supplemental for you guys to watch. One is 50 seconds, it's not very long, and the other one is I think like 3 minutes. But the one is talking about something that I'm curious if any of you have seen this documentary. The social, what's it called? A Social Dilemma? Have you? Yes. Have you heard of it? You've heard of it? What have you heard?
It just felt like Instagram with all the, and like how kind of like depersonalizing everyone.
Yeah.
Wait, is it like that cartoon thing?
No, it's not a cartoon. Here, I'm going to show it to you.
Docu-series?
I think just one episode.
I don't know. I've not seen it. It came through on my feed, and it's called Social Dilemma. See if I can bring it up here before the bell rings. You guys are done with all your notes and stuff. You can put them away. Oh, goodness gracious. Time is of the essence. I need to find this. But it came through on my feed for AP Psych, and a teacher was like, oh my God, this is like totally what we're talking about in class. And I was like curious to know if any of you have seen this before. If I can see if I can bring her on up. Come on. Of course, when you want things to happen quickly. Did I even turn it on? Is it on? Is it?
The projection on the paper.
I don't think it's on, Brian. I think you are on craziness. Here, now it's on. And it's the time for it to leave. You guys have a great day. Check that out if you have time and you want to. Take some Skittles for a friend. I'd greatly appreciate to get them out of here, or for yourself for later. We'll see you guys on Wednesday. We'll see you guys at home tomorrow. Have a great day. Bye-bye.